talk about the negative impact of the mental illness itself, and then we talk about the second layer of trauma that comes from the stigma attached to the mental illness.
Many times people tell me that it's more difficult to recover from the stigma and discrimination than it can often be to recover from the actual symptoms of the psychiatric illness.
People with mental illness internalize that stigma, and our sense of self becomes diminished, and our self-confidence becomes diminished.
This exhibit was created by individuals with psychiatric disabilities who are served here at the Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation at our recovery center. The work presented in our exhibit is created using an innovative method developed in the field of public health called Photovoice.
The Photovoice methodology is different than just documentary photography or visual anthropology. We come together as a group to discuss the photo mission, the experience of being out in the community and taking pictures, and come together once those pictures are developed, share them, and write what we call narratives, which are sort of structured stories about the picture.
Photovoice has both, obviously there are individuals that are producing work, but ultimately it's like a chorus of voices. And obviously you know that when there are a lot of voices blended together, the group voice has a power and a resonance that an individual's voice will lack.
I've done about 5 Photovoice projects now with people who have experienced a psychiatric illness. And I think this project on stigma and discrimination is perhaps one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful I've ever done, simply because of the almost intractable nature and sometimes of internalized stigma.
I actually saw this building at night, and I look at this building and I realize it's the whole facade of a building with absolutely no break in the surface. And what I say in my narrative is that, a lot of times we look at people like just from one vantage point, and we just see a very kind of flat and undifferentiated and in a sense unremarkable way of looking at the person. And I said what happens is that there's this sort of like very depth that is often hidden in people.
I decided on a picture to display for Photovoice. It's a picture of me with the director and the co-director of the BU Recovery Center program. They help us to realize that there is stigma, and for me, I've always danced around that stigma. I have a mother with mental illness, and she's had very severe bouts over the years. And there's such a stigma attached to it that people never talked about it. It was like the elephant in the living room. No one ever talked about it.
This picture of a drain really called to me when I saw it. Everywhere I felt like a drain on people. Because people really don't understand mental illness, and they don't understand that it's a chronic disease. People who have a mental illness need to act as a group and move to end the stigma and discrimination and prejudice that exists towards us.
This exhibit is an opportunity for members of the community to develop better understanding of mental illness, appreciation for the painful experiences associated with being stigmatized due to your illness.
It's very hard to be out there and be myself and tell people who I am. So I keep a lot of it close to the chest. But every chance I get, I defend my right to be, and anyone's right to be, whoever they are, and to reach out and dream and go for your dream.
We are equals to people who do not have a mental illness. We just happen to have a chronic illness that people really do not understand.
One of the quotes that I often use to illustrate photo voices from Martin Luther King, and it says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And photo voice is a strategy for not being silent. The photo voice participants are the visual researchers. They're the professionals. They're the people with the expertise on what it's like to live with a psychiatric illness, to experience stigma and discrimination as a result of it.
People are not just, they're not just stigmatized people. They're not devalued. They acquire a different function. They're researchers, they're photographers. They have a purpose and they're united in a common theme. And it gives them a different role and it enables them ultimately to see themselves in a different way. That they are not what society says they are. That they are not devalued or stigmatized or less than anyone else. And that ultimately that self-reflection will lead to, hopefully, society's reconsidering of this group of people.